shapes and sizes is the manifestation of all of our strengths. Growing businesses, transforming businesses via franchising.
There is definitely a need in the marketplace where people are looking for, although the expression's maybe not too popular, the idea of a one-stop shop. And Shapes and Sizes does everything for these individual business owners who are doing an incredible job, but perhaps they just need a little bit of fine-tuning, a little bit of tweaking, better being able to understand the marketplace and how in the world they can take their brand from, in some cases, a one-unit single operator to potentially national and international expansion. They just need experts around them to be able to do that, but rather than do it in piecemeal, we offer the whole process from conception to conclusion, which is what Shapes and Sizes is all about. Different diversities, different backgrounds, different cultures. It doesn't make any difference. If an individual has passion and excitement and energy and belief in their brand, then we can help them to take that to the next level.
Absolutely. Well, there are 4 things that we look for really, don't we? I think the first thing is that people buy from people.
Yeah, correct.
So we're looking for individuals who are driven, passionate, motivated, and really have the ability to inspire others. I think that's massively important. The second thing is, it's about having a unique concept. A unique concept, something that's a bit different, a bit exciting, a bit fresh, and I think that gets a lot of attention. It gets the right attention from the right people. The third thing I would say is massively important is the size of the investment. It's got to be reasonable, it's got to be fair, it's got to be just. And I would say, I don't know what your thoughts are, but I think it needs to reflect the economic situation. And the fourth most important thing for us, I think, is the return on investment. Most investors are looking for a solid investment that allows them to earn good money via a passive income.
Yeah.
And I think those 4 things are really important for us.
I would certainly agree, and sometimes perhaps people fail to realize that when a franchisee comes to the table to invest in a business, it's not just about what he puts in or commits to the business, it's about what he's giving up. And we respect that the fact that they're going to probably sign a 2-term agreement, which is 5 years and 5 years, which will have to involve them giving up their existing employment commitment, whatever that may be. It's a commitment to the family, to let them know that I'm going to take this risk by investing in this brand that, as far as I'm aware, is investable. So they put a lot on the altar, and I think that needs to be respected when franchisees come to the table. So all of the things you've referenced there, Ramiz, are very, very important, essential. And to do anything contrary to that, whether that's a franchisor that's not easy to work with or doesn't understand the need for or the need to value his franchisees, whether it's a brand without numbers. You know, a lot of times we have that experience, don't we? You know, yeah, my business is the best in the world, but then they don't have the figures to validate that. And I think it's very important that we afford the franchisee or the investor the courtesy of saying, not only is this a great brand, not only the financials amazing, but we can prove it and validate it. And I think that's why you and I are a little bit more selective than some may be with the brands that we bring on, because all of those dots need to connect. It's got to be viable, they've got to be working with integrity, and they've got to be able to demonstrate that they're able to do what they say they can do. Because not only do we have that commitment and responsibility to support the franchisor, but we have to take seriously, and we do, the commitment from the franchisee as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, we're saying this to the team every single day, aren't we, that we're only as good as the brands we represent.
Correct, 100%.
So it's very, very important that we're representing the right brands, people who have values, they have principles, they're honest in their dealings. We're not in business to rip people off. I think it's extremely important that via franchising, everyone wins. The franchisor has to win, the franchisee has to win, of course we have to win, and the end consumer has to win.
Yeah.
So I think this is something that you say fairly often, that you believe franchising has to push and promote an interdependent model.
Yes, 100%. And I think if they kind of move away from that relationship, where it becomes all about the franchisor, or about the franchisee, I think there's a tendency then for the franchisee to feel disheartened, and then that's when they start to kind of think, was my investment worthwhile? What have I let myself in for? I'm not getting the support that was promised. So I think franchising, among many things, it's also about expectation and accountability. What's expected from the franchisee, in order that on occasions when I have to be, I'm prepared to be held accountable. But for somebody to be held accountable who didn't understand the expectation, that can sometimes create animosity between the two parties. So I think understanding what the model is all about, the offering, how it works, feeling that they've had that experience of integrity where the franchisor's been open and honest with them, and this is the potential earnings, then I think that gives people a lot more comfort to invest in a business. A massive appeal in franchising is, of course, the scalability of the opportunity. And a lot of times people, rather than start their own business, they will buy into a franchise because they see that it's a safe pair of hands. It's a good opportunity to invest in because there's the proof of concept already in place. The business has already been run successfully. And dare I say, the franchisor has already experienced pitfalls and challenges that perhaps the franchisee wouldn't have to experience as many, although there will still be some, but they wouldn't experience so many. And then they do get to the point where this is where this win-win comes in really for both parties, franchisee and franchisor. If a franchisee has run a business successfully, a franchise model successfully, and he's felt the support and the training's been there, and he's felt the relationship is where it should be with the franchisor, he would be, and of course the profitability is there, then all day long he would be saying, I'm thinking of my second and third and fourth unit. We often push, as you know, Ramiz, we've been very fortunate to work with a number of brands, and our model or the goal is that we will have 100 units within 3 years.
Absolutely.
But that doesn't mean 100 individuals. That would be, of course, impossible to manage. What that means is maybe 20 or 30 individuals who are multi-unit operators who've got maybe 3, 4 or 5 units themselves individually. They're easier to train because they've already been trained. You already have a dynamic relationship with them, and they're already positioned to be able to help you to grow your business. So multi-unit operators are incredible, but that doesn't happen overnight. It takes time and some confidence building to get to that point.
Let's put it this way. I've got a business. It might be in the F&B space, it might be in logistics, it might be in retail. It's unique, it's different, it's special, at least to me. I've heard about franchising, I've thought about franchising, but I don't really know where I'm going. How do I know if my brand is franchise ready? And how do I determine whether or not it will be successful as a franchise model?
I think what you and I seem to say repeatedly, Ramiz, is that there is no such thing as a perfect franchise model. And a lot of times people think this, don't they? Well, you know, I'm going to get to the point where when I've opened 5 or 10 units of my own and I've used my own money, which could be in excess of £1 million, £2 million, then I feel I'm ready to franchise. And the immediate response is, well, and this isn't to be discourteous to any franchisee investor, but the immediate response to that is, in order to grow your brand, why do you want to use your own money? When there are solid, good, decent investors out there who are prepared to invest in your brand and help your business to grow. But they get this idea, I mean, we often use this analogy, don't we, that some of the business owners kind of position themselves as being airline pilots, you know, and you want to be on a plane with these people because they will not move 1 inch until every light is on green. Every light has to be on green. That's great for an airline pilot, but it's not franchising. We learn and we grow with motion and experience, and we evolve at the same time, and that's exactly what their business is. It's going to evolve and grow through this experience.
I think you always say to people that, unfortunately, we're not in the airline business.
100%, yeah, we're in the franchise business.
I think you and I speak about this a lot, that we just love connecting with people. We just love connecting with people, you know, understanding their background, understanding their story, their journey. And I don't know about you, but I find it massively inspiring to see a business that started with nothing. And how many times have we come across individuals who have no background in business, but they take a leap of faith. They trust in God. they believe in themselves, and they just move forward. There's something really moving about that. And I think this is what I've learned in franchising, that you can go from having one location to dozens, sometimes hundreds of locations, and everyone is doing well. Everyone's able to look after themselves, look after their family, and continue to grow. And I like that.
I like your emphasis on people, because we're often asked the question, what kind of business are you guys in? And I don't like to kind of pigeonhole myself and say, well, we're in the franchise space or business space or whatever it may be, legal or otherwise. I'd rather say we're in the people business. And this reminds me of the experience that I'm referring to here. A very quick case study, if I may throw one in. Meeting with a gentleman in Wimbledon 2 years ago, maybe a little bit more than 2 years ago. Cup of Chai is the brand, actually. I don't mind. We're happy to share that. And amazing people, 3 brothers that own the business, super people. The connection again, immediately upon our first meeting together, we connected. And it took them a little bit of time really to kind of get the franchise concept, because they were busy doing other things, investing in other things. Very successful businessmen in London. And they only had one unit in Wimbledon, the Cup of Chai unit there on Broadway in Wimbledon. And we got behind it, and we assisted them with all the processes and whatever was involved in setting up this franchise offering. And it was kind of, we have a bit of fun about it, because as mentioned earlier, this is a chai brand. I've never tasted chai in my life. It's like alcohol, for religious reasons. We don't consume certain things. And some might ask the question, well, if you've never tasted it, then how do you know whether or not it's franchisable? But the important thing is, what really matters is not so much what Ramiz or the owner thinks about, but rather what the reviews and customers feel about it. And if they love it, then that's a great place to begin. So we got involved with Cup of Chai. In the last 18 months, I'm pleased to say that we have just sold franchise number 27 in 18 months. Considering it's a chai brand, that don't know much about chai, but I do know much about the people behind the brand. Amazing people, and we've got so many experiences like that where we've worked with various brands up and down the UK and internationally, who you just gel, you just connect. And the all-important question for me is, would I feel comfortable referring our investor clients to these people? In other words, are they going to be a safe pair of hands? And we can say that of multiple brands, can't we? That they definitely are a safe pair of hands for our investors.
100%. And it goes back to the 4 things that we spoke about earlier, and especially with Cup of Chais and many other brands that we work with, they fit this criteria so incredibly well. Number 1, great people. Number 2, great concept. Number 3, reasonable upfront investment. And number 4, fantastic return on investment.
Yeah, very much so, very much so.
If I've got a brand, what do I need to be able to franchise my business?
Well, one of the most important things is you need some legal protection. You need to have, the most important document that you will have is your franchise legal agreement. Now, we always recommend that the franchisees go to a BFA, British Franchise Association affiliated lawyer, who will then give them the guidance and steerage that they need to ensure that the franchise agreement is robust and watertight and will protect their business interest. Generally speaking, a good solid franchise agreement will, you can almost, this is almost becoming repetitious, where we do find time and time again, a good solid franchise agreement will be, yes, it's pretty standard by way of a franchise agreement. It's very much in favour of the franchisor, which it has to be to protect the business. And then thirdly, by and large, this sounds a little bit harsh, but a good solid franchise legal agreement prepared by a reputable franchise lawyer will be pretty much non-negotiable. And we get the same old questions, don't we? Well, will they change the fees? Will they reduce this cost? Will they reduce that cost? And the reality is, as long as the agreement is solid and robust and prepared by a reputable franchise lawyer, there's not much need to change anything. So number 1 is a franchise agreement. Secondly, it's a franchise operations manual, which is the workings and operational side of your business. Again, recommending franchise lawyers who will prepare that for you or assist you with that, because most of that is in your head. That's your intellectual property. So when we come to a franchise business owner and we say, we will do all of the agreement or the operations manual for you, that's not absolutely accurate really, because we don't know the business the way they do. But we give them steerage and we give them guidance in the preparation of the operations manual. So firstly, franchise agreement. Secondly, operations manual. Thirdly, trademark guidance really. I mean, is your brand trademarked? I mean, because sometimes, as we've seen, some of these brands, they're a standalone unit one day, and then before you know it, there's 10, 15, 20, 30 people want to buy into a franchise. So is your brand protected? Again, we've got some great trademark lawyers and trademark contacts who assist with all of that. Protect your brand at all times. And then the fourth thing then, of course, is the appropriate literature, brochure, materials, franchise prospectus that allows people to be able to see the shop window of your business. This is what the business is all about. This is how much it's going to cost. This is the level of your investment. This is the training and support that you're going to receive. And then, of course, we get them, they need to advertise the brand and the appropriate franchise landing pages, platforms. And we're fortunate to work with most of them in the UK. We have a great relationship with most of the franchise platforms. Not only do the franchisors get a bit of a discount, but we have that working relationship with them, which means that we get the best out of their offering for the franchisor. So you're now advertised on a platform, and then you need a sales process. You need a team to capture those leads for you. We often find, and we say this, don't we, Remise, quite a bit, that out of every 100 leads, we do find that maybe 90 of them are not quite ready. Or they're shopping around, understandably. Maybe they don't have the right level of investment. Maybe they're not quite persuaded that your brand is right for them, but they still want to have the conversation. And sometimes that conversation can take as long as it takes. And it might be 3 or 4 different conversations you have with the same investor. But the important thing is you need somebody to capture that data, capture those leads, have those conversations, which is very, very labor intensive and very time consuming. And it's a big drain on resources, but we're fortunate enough to have a team around us at a call centre that assists with all of that. So in a nutshell, to recap, the franchise agreement prepared by a franchise lawyer, ideally affiliated with the British Franchise Association. Operations manual is the key. Also to support the franchise agreement, trademark your business, make sure you've got the ultimate protection, your business name is ring fenced so nobody can come along and copy, etc. And then the brochure, literature, landing page and materials that will allow you to be able to present your offering via individually to an investor or on various franchise platforms. And then that sales team to capture all of that data. And normally, I think it's almost become a science, hasn't it, Remise, where if we have these 100 leads and we're reduced to maybe 10 investors, we normally put 5 in front of the franchisor, who then makes, that's about fair, isn't it? Then they would make the decision as to whether or not they would be the right fit for them and their brand. So we assist with all of that process. We're constantly in communication with investor, franchisor, investor. That's very important. I'm a franchisor. How is franchising going to benefit me and my business?
I think before I get into that, and this is something that I've learned via working with the multi-unit operators, systems, processes, operations, margins. So I think a lot of this is going to come from good margins. So for example, if I've got a business, but my net profit is 4%, it's going to be a bit difficult for me to make serious money.
Correct.
I don't think that's a scalable model. But where you've got a margin of 10, 15, 20+%, this is where it gets a bit exciting. So, as you know, there are 20 plus streams of income for the franchisor, as long as the margins are there, because we want the franchisees to win. This is really important because it's only via that we get a sustainable model. So, number one is the franchise fee. Now, the national average in the UK is 15k plus VAT. We recommend starting with 15k plus VAT. Again, how many times have we met brand owners, business owners? No. My business is worth a lot more. And I always say respectfully, I guess leaning into my background in education, we can't mark our own homework. So be fair, be honest. 15K plus VAT is the recommendation. The second thing is the fit out. Now, franchisees are aware that there's a cost involved in managing the project, coordinating, managing resources, time, energy, brand assets. These things come at a cost. And I believe the franchisor has every single right to make a little bit of money if he's going to be physically involved. But what we are against, we're against people being ripped off. You know, 100K markup, 150K uplift on the fit out. That's not very nice. So second stream of income for the franchisor is the fit out, and we recommend 10% of the fit out fee. And that allows the franchisor to cover the time, energy and resources required to do things properly. The third stream of income for the franchisor is procurement. Again, I think it's important to mention this because we have worked with some businesses where the franchisor is putting an uplift of 35%. We've seen this with a number of businesses, and the franchisee saying, well, I don't really want to pay an extra 35p for a slice of cheese. I can get it cheaper down the road. So when it comes to procurement, I would say focus on the bespoke items. Might be in-house sources, it might be certain ingredients, it might be your packaging. Again, be fair, be just, be honest. The fourth stream of income for the franchisor would be the monthly management fee or the monthly service fee. And again, here there are two models. There's a fixed fee option if your margins are a little bit slim. But the model that we encourage, because it benefits the franchisor and the franchisee, and it encourages ongoing support. The model that we put forward, push forward, is percentage on revenue. And that could be 4% or 5%. But I believe 5% is the sort of national average. And then the final stream of income for the franchisor, for the purpose of this conversation, is the advertising levy. And that can be 1% or 2% on turnover. But the interesting thing about the advertising levy, of course, it's an opportunity to make some money, but more importantly, it's a reinvestment strategy for the franchisor, because if I put some money into social media marketing or email marketing or some digital ads, and I increase the franchisee's revenue, I also benefit from the growth.
Yeah.
So it's about coming up with a system that works for all parties, but those are the top 5 streams of income for the franchisor.
You passed the test.
Oh, thank you very much.
I will say too, though, that we do often mention too is the exit strategy. You know, potentially, should they want to sell the business in the future, we've been involved with a particular brand that was outside of food and beverage, set up the franchise model, went through the process, recommended them to a BFA lawyer, etc. And that was the beginning of some great things with a particular brand. And I'm pleased to say that from conception and the actual setup of the franchise model, all the way through the process of the exit strategy, I'm pleased to say that that small operator, single unit operator, having sold many franchises, which we were fortunate to be able to do, and they have just sold their brand for in excess of £25 million.
Wow.
Now, they weren't necessarily planning on that or thinking that would be the case, but again, that's one of the beauties of franchising. Another thing you have mentioned there, Ramiz, repeatedly, which I think is just brilliant and says everything about franchising and this relationship, it's about fairness.